Hey y'all, welcome to Clove Room. Today I am going to be talking about my beauty intentions for the new year for 2026. I have done content in the past like not this already. I've done content in the past, like the beauty resolutions tag, and I found that helpful, but sometimes those tags can get more into kind of the numbers and makeup inventory of it all. And really, when I was sitting down and like kind of outlining this video, I wanted to discuss some of the larger themes, some of the feelings I have going into this year with my personal beauty consumption, my use of beauty products, and my mindset around beauty. We'll start with more specific like makeup beauty ideas and intentions I have. This video is really all about my intentions, I feel like, going into the new year. And then as the video goes on, we'll kind of zoom out from beauty and I think discuss things that are more all-encompassing with my life, but I do think still kind of trace back to beauty in one way or the other. And if you are new here, welcome. My name is Cam. I like to talk about beauty and makeup, but from a little bit more of an intentional and conscious consumption lens. So if you enjoy that type of content, I would love to have you subscribe, and please give this video a like. It helps me a lot. First really big intention is to kind of permanently this year have a low-buy mentality. And I don't see myself doing any specific long-term projects this year. If anything, I may do some, I'm kind of thinking of like short-term sprints, more like a design sprint, if you're familiar with that world. I've struggled in the past, especially with finishing long-term projects, because I just lose interest a lot and I change my mind. I really still want to not buy a lot of makeup this year. I am really happy with my collection right now. There's maybe some parts of it that I could use, I could see myself liking more things, but for the most part, I'm really trying to not like do a specific low buy with any rules or anything, but just have that low buy mentality of kind of like not the automatic no, but just the probably no. The automatic probably no. It's the opposite of yes and. It's no and. The automatic no and. The automatic probably no and. Iteration. We're doing it together. Isn't that beautiful? I just don't want to buy a lot is really what this is about. And I think having that low buy mentality just means if I'm interested in something, using my collection, like all the things I talk about a lot of, just using what you already have, substituting what you already own with what you think you want, and kind of seeing what you already have is an adequate substitute, or maybe even saying that you don't like to use a product that way. I just want to continue using what I have, continue getting pans and products that I use a lot, using up makeup. I want to have more makeup empties this first half of the year for sure, and I think buying less is a really great way to do that, of course, because you're bringing in less new stuff and kind of focusing on what you already own. So the next one is to shop smaller when I can. Dodge, buddy, I don't want to play right now. I'm sorry. Dodge's intention right now is to play, but I already took him out and I told him we can play after, but I have to film right now. And he's staring me down. Like, that's not good enough, but it's gonna have to be, buddy. I want to shop smaller when I can. I have been doing this more. I feel like I was pretty good about it in 2025, but I really don't want direct-to-consumer to be an obstacle to me anymore. And if I am interested in buying a product, if I am interested in replacing something, maybe having that mindset of like, let's try to find like a smaller brand. And we'll just go ahead and get into the next one because I do think these two kind of interact. I want to decenter Sephora from my life. If you watched my collab with Tom, I had a moment in that video where I was like, wait, I think Sephora is ruining makeup. And not that that's like a super unique statement, but I really came to terms with that in that conversation I had with him. And I'm still not great at it, honestly. Like, I mean, like my parents gave me like a Sephora gift card for Christmas, which was great, and I got shopped at Sephora, but I just want to decenter Sephora. And for like a lesser extent, Ulta. I think Ulta has a few lessons than Sephora, but it's still kind of like that big box store. And it's hard because, you know, I like being able to see things in person, and that's a big plus of a Sephora. He's done with me. He's pissed. That's a big plus of a Sephora or an Ulta. I really do like to see and try and swatch products before I buy them. And it's hard because there is a convenience aspect there, right? It is usually less shipping. It's usually a rewards program. Oh, is he gonna go get a toy and bring it in here? We'll see. There's just a real convenience factor with Sephora and Ulta. Sephora especially, I don't think they really have any shipping minimums anymore if you're like a certain tier. I really don't want to be Rouge this year. That's a big goal of mine. If I'm really interested in a product from a smaller brand, I just want to go ahead and buy that. I don't want to necessarily have to buy the thing from Sephora. If I am doing something out of convenience, Personally, I'd rather it just be like a drugstore price product, because the other thing about Sephora is that even though it's technically convenient, the price is usually not actually convenient. It's actually quite a large sum of money to spend, which is probably why they have those perks like free shipping and such. And like, it's hard because I do love a little stroll around to Sephora and an Ulta every once in a while, but maybe I can try to do those types of activities without buying something. And I do that a lot. Doing it more. Like if a friend wants to go to Sephora, I can go and just have a little swatcheroo and then say, I'm not buying any of this. And then maybe even purchasing just stuff separately from a brand site. Sephora has really kind of turned me off lately. I just want to really decenter them in my beauty world. I really do. Even though there's a lot of products I like from Sephora brands, like even if it means maybe I buy more from like a Credo or something, I feel like I'd rather do that. I just would. I don't know. Get to know newer brands to me too that are outside of Sephora. I think that's a pretty big goal for me. And it has been the last few years. And I feel like I finally did better at that last year, but being even more intentional about making sure that continues this year. We found a toy, I think. We found the toy. I'm going to pause to play tug with him because I feel bad. All right, Dot, come here. Another one of my big intentions this year is to use the money I would spend on makeup, my extra money, although there isn't really much of that, to really prioritize trying to spend that money not on makeup, but other areas that are less overflowing, because I have plenty of makeup. Things like clothes that affirm my identity, things like saving up for gender affirming healthcare, because a lot of the extra money I have had, or when I have had extra money in the past, I would just kind of automatically be like, ooh, I can buy makeup, I can go to Sephora. I'm not saying I'm not going to do that at all this year. I'm not, again, on a no buy. I'm with that low buy mentality. I am, able to buy makeup as I please, I suppose. I just know that I have plenty of makeup, but I do not have a lot of clothes that make me feel good about myself. Something I really try to stay away from with this list is, in the past, I have had resolutions about health and my weight. And trigger warning, if you don't want to hear me talk about that, then skip or click away. I'll probably have this video titled and chaptered, although I don't know if that would be in the title or chapter. But anyway, just skip this section if you don't want to hear this. I've done that in the past and it never goes well, right? Because as I've learned in my 31 years, dieting doesn't work. Dieting doesn't do anything. If anything, it just creates really unhealthy relationships with food and feelings of guilt because you couldn't keep up something for months that was, let's be realistic, only designed for you to do for like 3 weeks. And it's hard as a trans person because there are things I want to change about my body to make it align more with who I am. I'm really trying, and I think I'm doing a better job of just like being thankful for the body I do have and loving the body I do have. In doing that, I've just realized there aren't a lot of clothes that make me feel my best. And it's not about looking thinner or anything like that. I'm really focused right now on loving my body. It's just like the radical thought of like, what if, if you've watched my hotness tutorial, the radical thought of what if the way you were right now is enough. And it's not like, in one day, it's just today, the way you are now is your best form because that's the form that you are, that kind of thing. Like, tried to put a t-shirt on to film this, and t-shirts just make me feel like a man. Not that this is like the most, gender affirming outfit, but tank top and like off the shoulder jacket is much more my vibe these days. I did a big clothes declutter and actually just like a house cleaning recently because I just felt like I was surrounded by stuff that I didn't want. And I don't think it's just like a trans thing. I think like when you go through a big transition in life, whether that is a change in your weight, changing not just your gender identity, but how you want to present that identity, anything like that, like going through a big life change, you are left with all of this stuff often that centered your old life. So for a while, my clothes, even though I've like bought quite a bit of clothes since I've come out as trans and started experimenting with that, they still kind of center who I was. I'm really trying to be like, no, I want to wear things that make me feel like girly and feminine, because when I do, I feel amazing about myself. Like when I have like outfits like skirts and dresses and things like that are overtly feminine, because that is kind of just my ideal vibe, I feel really great about myself, and I don't have to think about all the things I wish I could change about myself. I can be kind of present in the I am enough right now. But there aren't a lot of clothes I have that do that. I don't think that means I want to go out and buy a bunch of clothes. I think one, I need to get better at thrifting, which I just hate thrifting. I hate thrifting. I just want it to be on a hanger, and then I try it on in different sizes. But I have friends who are really, really good at thrifting, so I just need to go out with them and thrift, I suppose. So I need to get better at thrifting and just better at kind of identifying the clothes that are going to make me feel good about myself. And again, prioritizing spending any extra money I have on that type of thing. Or even if like I don't want to go thrifting, there are a couple of places that, specifically Everlane, which is quite expensive, but I really like the way their clothes fit me usually. I really liked the way American Eagle clothes fit me, but now I can't shop from there, so thanks, everyone really just joining the ranks and making sure they publicize what assholes they are. Super impressive stuff. Great job, companies. I think I veered off the point that I was originally trying to make. And it's hard not to bring consumption into this, but what are ways I can kind of show up for myself and make myself believe that radical idea that I'm enough as I am right now. One, allowing myself to declutter a lot of my male clothes recently was really, really helpful. Something just doesn't work, but I feel like it should work. It just doesn't have to work. Like, I don't have to wear t-shirts if I don't want to wear t-shirts, because t-shirts often make me feel like a guy. I can just do what I want when it comes to that and make myself, like, make sure I'm feeling good about what I'm wearing. And actually this relates to my what was going to be my last point, so I'm going to bring that up. And one of my big intentions is to invest meaningfully and intentionally in my success and well-being, which sounds really intense because it kind of is. And it involves the clothing thing, but it also involves, if something isn't right for me, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to bend over backwards for people, aka men I date, so they can like barely walk across the street for me. You know what I mean? And when it comes to things, and I don't know. I feel like in the last year, I've really seen quite clearly, well, not too, clearly what has worked for me and what hasn't worked for me, and the things that I have invested in heavily: getting a new job, getting a new apartment, doing those things for myself and actually investing the time and the energy in my success and well-being. Because like, I'm 31, like I'm at the point now where like being like a cute messy girl is not working for me anymore. Like it wasn't cute, it was just messy, you know what I mean? And I just want to build habits, and we'll talk a little bit more in a bit about those types of habits. I think overall with like investing or like spending less on makeup and making sure I'm spending things that give back to me right now. Like I have house decor on here too, just like making the place I live and my child, aka dog, lives, like making that as he's so cute, as cozy and comforting as possible, and spending time on my own, spending time to figure out how a life that's just me and Dodger can be super fulfilling and beautiful and not feel like I need a partner to validate me. I feel like as I've been dated as a trans girl, I have really, unfortunately, been looking at dating as a way to validate myself, and that's just like a really unhealthy thing to do for like a myriad of reasons, because the men who date trans girls, I mean, date loosely, it's bleak and it makes you feel really bad about yourself, and I want to feel good about myself because I am amazing. And that's just the tea. In a lot of different ways that I perhaps will not get on camera. I just am really focused this year on investing meaningfully and intentionally in my success and well-being. And that's intense, but I deserve it. Now we're going to shift the focus back. That was supposed to be at the end, but then it kind of came up before. The last little makeup thing, or makeup specific thing I wanted to talk about, which is funny because I just talked about not buying as much makeup and focusing on maybe other categories, but I am still a beauty curious person, and I do hope to do YouTube a little bit more consistently this year. I feel like my life is becoming more consistent, which is helpful. So I think, and like, I think the holidays put a big wrench in that. So I think hopefully my hope is as this year develops and I get back to work and I start developing those routines, I think there's a way that YouTube could fit in really well with those. I'm thinking 1 video a week, 2 videos maybe if I have time that week. But what I'm really wanting to commit myself to is 1 video a week. And I do makeup content, right? Mainly, like, I think maybe I'll try to do some other stuff, but mainly I like coming on here and talking about beauty. And especially since starting this new job, it seemed, because I don't talk as much in the new job. My last job, I worked at a coffee shop, and I was kind of on all day, and I'm still on at my job, but it's talking to a lot less people. With my old job, I would sometimes opt out of plans because I was sick of like putting myself out there, and now I'm like on weekends I'm wanting to see people to talk about stuff because I'm like, you know, I'm usually just like sitting in my office around meetings or whatever. I see YouTube fitting better and more consistently in my life than it did with my previous job. And now that we're out of the holidays, I am hoping that that is the case and I'm able to upload at least once a week. That's my goal for myself, is one video a week. I may, I just want to make sure I'm uploading consistently before I offer. I haven't decided if I would do memberships or Patreon, but before I do something like that, I want to make sure I'm uploading consistently so it's something worth supporting. I've asked before, but if anyone has any opinions on Patreon versus memberships, because I see pros and cons with both. All of that being said, I am going to try new makeup this year. It is going to be a part of the work I do on this channel, and then also I am a beauty curious person, so I just wanted to share some of the brands that I am interested in trying. I'll list at the end some I have tried before but would like to try more from. But for the ones I have never tried anything from, very curious about Mob Beauty. I have seen such conflicting things about them. I think one of the things that turns me off about them is that it seems like it's a lot to understand, like the whole system and all of the shades they offer, because they're all named as if like Elon Musk and Grimes named them. like it's like their offspring is like the blush names. It's like 05321 XYZ bikini or something like that. In my mind, that's what it is. Maybe I'm wrong now. I'm saying all that out loud, but I'm pretty sure there's like, you know, very systematic naming to all of it. I've heard the actual packaging, if you buy individual stuff, is pretty poor, but then if you buy a palette, it's like this weird snap-in grid system that only works for their stuff, which I am continually perplexed by, honestly. I am always interested in being seduced by an all-in-one face palette. I have not learned my lesson about that yet. So the idea of a face palette that could maybe do it all, because they had a sale on palettes and I went in and built my own. And it looked really pretty and it looked really intriguing. So I'm interested in trying that brand eventually. Maybe if they do another sizable sale and I have like some money for it, I can buy a face palette and maybe do a little review. Make Beauty, I cannot believe I have not tried Make Beauty. I feel like Make Beauty is a brand I should have tried by now. And that's one of the things about Make Beauty is they go so in and out of the vernacular, I feel like. Sometimes you hear a lot about them, sometimes you don't. Altino Shade, usually when you hear about them, it's because they did a PR push. And I think for a while they stopped doing PR pushes and not a lot of people talked about them, but now they did another PR push and people are talking about them again. Not that there's anything wrong with the creators. I mean, if I got Make Beauty PR, I would also make content about it. Let's be honest with ourselves. That kind of has always made me sigh. I like how I'm like, I want to try these brands and it's me just roasting these brands, but that's always made me side-eye them a little. They're one of those brands, and there's a lot of them, where it doesn't feel like a lot of organic use and mentions. It feels, although the one exception, I love when I combine words. The one exception is their concealer. I do hear a lot of really, really great things about their concealer, and I've wanted to try it for a while. So I feel like this is the year maybe I should actually try Make Beauty. Like the vibe is kind of like Grown Up, Glossier meets Kosas. I just saw a Kosas product. I was like, what clean brand am I trying to think of? But it's that kind of vibe. It seems like something I should like and would like, and it's kind of surprising I haven't tried them yet. A smaller brand that I really would like to try this year is Cheekbone Beauty. It's an indigenous owned brand out of Canada. Their mascara sounds promising to me. I don't like a lot of mascaras, but they have like a non-tubing kind of cleaner one, and that's usually the vibe if I do like a mascara. And they emphasize it's for sensitive eyes. They have like a lot of nice looking eye pencils that look really, really creamy and easy to blend, kind of like the Westman Atelier. They have like this split pan like bronzer blush, which I feel like normally I wouldn't be in, but it comes in a 10 and there's just something alluring about it. And you know, it's cool that it's an indigenous brand. I like their social media presence a lot. It actually looks like people are making it and not, I feel like so many brands, I'm not trying to drag anyone's appearance, but they only feature people, well, they only feature cis women who are thin and have lip filler. Like, and all over filler. And like, if that's your journey, I mean, congrats, I guess. Like, that's the standard right now. And it's all only like super highly produced and filtered content, and Cheekbone's Instagram is just like actual people putting on makeup, and that like really, and it's so sad. That stands out. That actually does stand out, because even when brands have other influencers and like are reposting that content, it's usually really, really perfected, and there's something very human about the content that Cheekbone Beauty puts out that I really appreciate. It's a small business. It's an Indigenous owned business, and I just would really love to try a few things. I'm confused. They have a website. It seems like you can ship from the US on there. It says you can, but then it also says on the website, we would encourage you to buy things from. They sell in JCPenney's, in the JCPenney's beauty aisle. Store I haven't been to in a while. They sell on Amazon, so maybe I could just buy some stuff on Amazon. Singe Beauty, an indie brand. This one's owned by Angelica Nyquist. I don't know if it's Angelica or Angelica. I'm so sorry. I just like people say both, so maybe she's comfortable with both. I do not personally know her. It's specifically the first palette she put out lives in my brain a lot. I think I just got a pastel palette for Christmas, which is what I'm sporting today. The one from Bella Beauté Bar, the Pastel Garden. But there was like a mint in there that really intrigued me. But overall, it just looks like a really cool color story. Paisley Hoot. First of all, I find that name hysterical. That palette looks like nice too. Maybe a little, I don't know. There's something about it that doesn't like I think it's pretty objectively, but I'm not sure it would go with my vibe. And then Agate Temptation, I was also tempted by. But Galactic Visitor, their first palette, is really the one that I think about a lot. And I know they're launching more things this year, more collections. I've heard good things about the formulas. It doesn't seem like my usual vibe for a brand, but there's something that's really captivating me about it. So again, maybe at some point this year I would, if they release a new palette that interests me, or Galactic Visitor or something would tempt me, I could see myself buying something from Singe. The next one is a Swedish brand that I first saw featured on Hannah Louise Poston's channel, because it came back up on YouTube. A different person was talking about it. And I was like, I've seen them before, and I'm pretty sure Hannah's reviewed that before, but maybe I'm wrong. But then I went to her channel, and she does have an entire review about it, so I was not misremembering. Their name is Manasai 7, is how Hannah said it, so that's how I'm saying it. It just looks really intriguing. Cream multi-use formulas that come in containers that could be in the MoMA, but like not in like a weighty or luxe way, just like you're in like a hallway at the MoMA and they're behind glass. There's something very like artistic about this brand, and kind of like that Swedish minimalist aesthetic. The colors look really, really pretty, and it just looks, it's one of those brands where I'm like, that could be all bullshit or it could be really good, and I'm not sure which. They sell on Revolve too, which I've never bought anything from Revolve. That's probably the brand I'm least likely to try, because it's more, I'm just like, look at you. I am kind of intrigued. There's something like really alluring about their mysteriousness. And then a few brands I want to try more from. This one's kind of surprising, because I feel like I haven't said like I don't have the most positive impression of this brand. Not that I have a negative one, obviously. It's Lisa Eldridge. I have tried a couple of lip products, and I used up her liquid highlighter goo stuff. I haven't been really super impressed by any of those, if I'm super honest, which I have been, and I will continue to be. No one's bought me out yet. If someone wants to buy me out, like, go ahead. I mean, the price is kind of high because I care about my integrity at this point, but Anyway, I feel like I haven't tried the right things from Lisa Eldridge, because I was perusing the website. Her mascara really interests me. Her eyeliners really interest me. I've heard so much about that skin tint. I tried Tom's I guess about 2 years ago now, when I went to Pittsburgh, or maybe more like a year and a half, maybe more like 2 years. When I went to Pittsburgh a couple of years ago, I tried theirs, and I remember not loving it, but also like I was visiting, and I feel like I can't get a good gauge on a new product just from trying it once at somebody's house. It looked really good on them, and them. It looked really good on Tom when I saw them in it. And when I applied it, it looked good. I just don't remember it wearing well on me, but then I think I may have worn it to the chapel concert. That's not a good judge. Anyway, their foundation looks really interesting too, actually. I feel like it's a brand I should like, and I would like to try more if I'm able. So that's kind of on my list. And maybe trying more of their lip products. I feel like the ones I tried maybe aren't the right shades for me at this point. They are from like 2, maybe even 3 years ago. Another brand I really want to try more from is Catrice. Very different end of availability and pricing there. I recently have tried their concealer. I retried their setting spray, because I used to really love the setting spray I have from them. I do still really, really like it. The concealer I've been really, really impressed by. It looks better on my skin and performing better than a lot of the high-end ones I have that I've been disappointed with this year. There's just like very much a hole in my drugstore category of makeup because Elf's not there anymore. And this past year I bought like a lip liner from ColourPop and it just felt bad. I felt bad about it. It's just like weird to not have ColourPop or Elf in my makeup world because ColourPop, as long as I've been creating content, I haven't been buying from ColourPop, but they were really my entry into beauty. And then Elf was too. They were like the other brand I used a lot early on. And then they continued to be until they did their foolishness. And it's been a while since ColourPop did the stupid Harry Potter collab, but it's also like they would probably do another one. I don't know. But then I also see they work with people that I like. You know, I've been impressed by a couple of Morphe things I've tried. So maybe I make Morphe and Catrice my drugstore brands. Because ColourPop, it still feels like dirty to buy from. I don't know how else to say that. But it just, I kind of hide that I have a lip liner from them. But I do. Oh my god, I have a ColourPop lip liner. And then the last brand I want to try more from, we are back at the super high end, is Westman Atelier. A brand I feel like I've long besmirched and have been unimpressed with, and then as I've used more of their products, I've been kind of impressed with. I really like the Biscuit Contour. I have a long, well, not long, but I have a pretty passionate love affair with their eye pencil. I just bought a new shade. I've been trying out their mascara. The mini was $26. The full size is $48, I think. I really like the mascara, unfortunately, though. Shame for shame. Yeah, the more I try, I almost bought that one blush shade. It's like a mauve shade. I swatched it in Sephora when I was there. I cannot think of the name to save my life. Garçon. I swatched Garçon in Sephora when I was actually spending my Sephora gift card from Christmas. Ended up getting the Westman Atelier black eyeliner and a mini of their mascara, but I would have probably just bought that if they had it in stock in the store I was in. It was so I wish they had a mini of it, because I probably don't need a full-size one. I don't need another blush at all, let's be honest. The more I try from Westman Atelier, the more I like it, unfortunately. I wish that wasn't the case, because it's expensive. The next intention I have for the new year is, I think has to do with beauty in terms of my skin quality and also just my mood for doing things. I am really committed this year to having better sleep hygiene. And that also goes into the next one, so I'll mention it too. I need to doom scroll less. I mean, it's a common problem these days as the world turns, as the world burns. The doom scrolling of it all. I just want to spend so much less time on my phone, especially the latter half of the year. I've really gotten caught. I will just scroll for like 2 hours before I go to bed, and then I'll get terrible sleep. I'll be in a bad mood. I'll feel terrible about myself. I'm really trying, even though I did not do well at this last night at all, I'm really trying to not bring my phone into my bed. I'm committed to charging it on my dresser, which is by my bed, but not within reach. And actually with a gift card I got for Christmas, I still had to pay some for it, but a lot less. I bought a used refurbished Hatch alarm clock, if you're familiar. They're so expensive. Like the one I bought is like last generation refurb and it was still like $80, and that was like a pretty good price for it that I found on eBay. The newest version, like out of box, sells for $170, which was just not doable for me. Again, if we're going back, invest meaningfully and intentionally in my success and well-being. That means spending some money on better sleep hygiene and not new makeup for me. That's a really good way. I really love it so far. When I have actually used it, before there were 2 nights where I got really, really good sleep, and it was so nice to be free of my phone for the few, like for going to bed. I like read before bed. I wasn't on my phone at all. I let my Hatch play relaxing noises for me. And it's kind of annoying because, of course, there's a subscription with the Hatch if you want the full plan. So it's like $50 a year. I am, again, investing in that because I have to get my phone out of my bed. I need to make nighttime and bedtime a ritual where I recharge and feel better about myself and feel beautiful. Like, this sounds crazy, but basically what I'm trying to say is I need to not doom scroll on dating apps and on TikTok where I go to bed. That's really what's got to stop. I think that would change my life because I did it last night and I woke up feeling bad about myself. The previous 2 nights I didn't, and I woke up getting really great sleep and I sprung out of bed with pep in my step. And even just like when I do have a proper bedtime, when I do my, like, take time to do my skincare, when I take time to put on like my hand cream and read before bed instead of like watching YouTube, like it really just makes a huge difference. And I think going into this new year, I've talked about this before about my new job. I have quite the commute with it, and it's just like a lot of things have to happen in the morning before I leave. I need to spend a lot of time with Dodger because he's about to be by himself for a bit. And he's still getting used to that. And after this break, he's going to have to get used to it again. I have to make sure I make coffee for myself because that's important. Otherwise, I get a caffeine headache. I need to get ready and do makeup and do that routine because that's how I feel good about myself to start the day. If I'm not wearing makeup, it's not great. And doing that starts at bedtime. I'm really excited that I finally just bought the Hatch. And it sucks that it's like another piece of technology. I really needed to decenter my phone from bedtime. And I felt like having a device, because it doesn't have a screen or anything, it just, you can program routines into it. So I press one button and it starts my wind down routine or whatever, and it plays like lo-fi music for like 45 minutes, and then it starts playing thunderstorm noises, and that's, you know, when it's time to go to bed. And then in the morning it has like a gentler alarm than my phone would, and it's just better. So I'm excited to commit to that routine, excited to get my phone out of my bed and stop spending so much time doom scrolling before bed, because it is truly destroying every aspect of my life, and I'm not even exaggerating. Last thing I'm going to talk about, my last intention for the new year, and it's to really engage my brain more with what I am consuming. I feel like the last few years I've gotten really bad at I only watch Bravo shows and beauty YouTube and not much else. I used to work in journalism, so I was very abreast of the news, and I got so burned out on doing that for like 4 or 5 years that when I left and after grad school, because I also needed to be abreast of the news when I was in grad school, I dropped it. Like I was like, I would like to know less actually. And I'm not saying I'm not informed on things, because I think I'm probably much more informed than most Americans, but I definitely read a lot less. I want to read more books this year. I want to watch more movies. Like I have an AMC A-list thing because my friends are now into going to the movie, or there's a few of me and my friends who have gotten really into going to the movies together. And even doing that, even if it's like not like a super intellectual movie, just like watching something and giving something my full focus and not scrolling on my phone while watching it, that's good. That's good for my brain. Reading anything is good for my brain, even if it's pop culture Substacks. I would love to read more Substacks. If you have favorite Substacks or anything, please put them below. And listening to more podcasts, like both like, you know, I'm thinking like NPR type podcasts, but also just like been really into IMHO and my homosexual opinion, which I wouldn't say is like super intellectual, but just like focusing on people talking about stuff and not having one screen and then one in my hand. I like, this sounds like I'm an idiot or something, but I feel like I've been in such zombie mode the last few years with what I consume that if it's not Bravo or beauty YouTube, I truly can't handle it. And I'm not trying to belittle beauty YouTube, by the way, or even Bravo. Like, I think there's a lot to learn from both of those entertainment sources. And I mean, I make beauty content, so clearly I like beauty YouTube, but that can't be all. Like, I need to learn about other things and engage my brain in other ways, and I just miss doing that. So I'm really committed this year to trying to not just read more, but just everything a little bit more. And again, it all kind of revolves around being on my phone less, because that is really important. And not even just being on my phone less, but when I am on my phone, not just doom scrolling again. Like, I just feel like my brain's in zombie mode so much of the time. I'm just like watching one thing on big screen and then watching other things on small screen, and I'm just sitting there for hours just like, and that doesn't make me feel great about myself. I don't know what to say. It really just doesn't. So those are my beauty and kind of beauty adjacent intentions for 2026. Let me know what y'all think. Let me know if you have any intentions, resolutions, whatever you want to call them for the new year. I am interested to hear. Thank y'all so much for being here. I really do appreciate it. Give this video a like if you did enjoy it. It helps me a lot in the wild west of the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe if you want to see future videos. Hype if you must. Hype if you must. We're gonna be okay. Bye y'all.